Okay, I shall start with where we had left the last time. Actually, the equations for the theta part are shown in the slide. This was the equation for theta. We had this constant minus beta which we introduced, and then we rearranged that equation to get this equation. Then we made a substitution, z is equal to cos theta, and p of z is defined to be equal to capital theta. And then what happens is that capital P obeys the differential equation that is shown here. This equation, we discussed all this, and then we made this substitution. P of z is equal to 1 minus z squared to the power of absolute value of m by 2 into g of z. The aim is to find a differential equation for capital G, and we found this differential equation. This is what we had done in the last lecture, right. So I will start from this equation. So the equation says that 1 minus z square So this is the differential equation, and we want to solve this, and we will make use of the series expansion, which will assume that G may be expanded as a power series. So G may be written as A0 plus A1 Z plus A2 Z square plus etc. The general term, I will use the symbol nu for the general term, A nu Z to the power of nu plus etc. So nu can be 0 or 1 or 2 or anything if you feel like. So that is the general term. So now let me calculate the first derivative of G, dg by dz would be, well, if you say that this is G, and if you differentiate with respect to z, obviously A0 will vanish and you will have the first term as A1. So you will have A1 plus 2A2 plus etc. From the nth term you are going to get nu A nu Z to the power of nu minus 1. So this is the first derivative, and I will now write the second derivative. As you can see, I am writing them in an order so that I can just add it up to get this result. So d square G by dz square will be, you have to differentiate this, A1 will disappear, you will get 2 into A2 plus 3 into 2 into A3 Z plus 4 into 3 into A4 Z square plus etc. And what I will do is I will write the term, well, coming from here I would have nu into nu minus 1 A nu Z to the power of nu minus 2. I will also write the term which has z to the power of nu. What will that be? It is going to be nu plus 2 into nu plus 1 into a nu plus 2. There is one term in between which I have not written. So, now if you look at this expression, you say you need the second derivative, but you also need minus z square into the second derivative. So, let me just write that here. Well, that will give me minus, let me keep the minus sign outside, 2a2 z square plus 3 into 2 a3 z cube this is going to give me nu into nu minus 1 a nu z to the power of nu plus etc. Okay. So, that is fine. Then I need minus 2 times magnitude of m plus 1. So, let me just take this and multiply it by that term. Right. So, I am going to multiply by minus 2 into magnitude of m plus 1 into z. So, this minus 2 into m plus 1 I will keep outside, but the z I am going to take inside. So, I will have an z coming in here, this will become z square, this will become z cube, and the way I have written these things, you see this will become z to the power of nu plus etc. And then the last term is obviously very simple, beta minus magnitude of m into magnitude of m plus 1 into g is equal to beta minus magnitude of m into magnitude of m plus 1 a0 plus a1 z plus etc. a nu z to the power of nu plus etc. So, you have to add up all these things, and when you add up, you see on the left hand side you are going to get just these terms, and therefore, the sum of those terms should be equal to 0, and therefore, if you added up all these things, what should happen? The answer should be equal to 0. But this is a power series in z, and you are saying that this power series in z must be equal to 0 for all values of z. That can be valid only if the coefficient of each power of z must be equal to 0. Okay. And therefore, we can take a general term that will be the coefficient of z to the power of nu and say that must be equal to 0. So, let us do that. So, if you took the power of z to the if you took the coefficient of z to the power of nu, what are you going to get? From here you are going to get, from the first term you are going to get nu plus 2 into nu plus 1 a nu plus 2. Then from this term I will get this term, which is going to be minus, right, there is a minus sign outside, nu into nu minus 1 a nu. So, that is what I am going to get from there, while from here what will I get? I will get there is a minus 2m plus 1. nu into A nu. Well, I would not want to go wrong anywhere. This I have taken into account. Then from here I am going to get plus beta minus m into m plus 1 into A nu, and this should be equal to 0. Right. This is the relationship that I get. You will realize that this is a relationship which is going to give me A nu plus 2 in terms of A nu. So, it is a recursion relation, and I can rearrange this. How will I rearrange this? I shall write this as A nu plus 2 is equal to these terms I will take to the right hand side. So, if I took them to the right hand side, what will happen? I will get nu into nu minus 1 plus 2 magnitude of m plus 1 into nu plus magnitude of m into magnitude of m plus 1 minus beta divided by nu plus 2 into nu plus 1 into A nu. So, this is the recursion relationship which will determine A nu plus 2 in terms of A nu. So, if you give me A0, I will be able to calculate A2, then A4, A6, etc. And similarly, if you give me A1, I will be able to calculate A3, A5 and so on. But this numerator I will simplify. Well, you have nu into nu minus 1, that is actually nu square minus nu this term, plus, let me just expand this, I am going to get 2 times m into nu plus 2 nu plus magnitude of m square plus magnitude of m. Right, I am just writing this part. Okay. The minus beta I am not writing now. And if you simplify this, what is going to happen? You are going to get nu square minus nu and 2 nu will combine. I will get plus nu plus 2 magnitude of m nu plus m square plus magnitude of m. But then this one and this magnitude of m square you can combine, right. This one, that one and that one you can combine. You are going to get nu square plus, well, if you combine you will get nu plus m the whole square, plus what are you left with? You are left with plus nu plus magnitude of m, correct. And that actually can be written in a simple form. It is nothing but nu plus m into nu plus m plus 1. So, therefore, the recursion relationship actually simplifies. Let me just write this once more. It says that A nu plus 2 is equal to nu plus magnitude of m maybe I should rub off this part because I do not need this anymore. Multiplied by A nu. So, that is the recursion relationship that I get after all these simplifications, and therefore, let me just remove this also. because ultimately this is all that we need. Right, this is a neat way to write the recursion relationship, but then you see we know that if the series goes to infinity we may run into problems. This is exactly the kind of thing that happened with harmonic oscillator. There we argued that you have to terminate the series at a finite power of the variable, otherwise if it went to infinity then the behavior is unacceptable. So, the same thing happens with this, okay, and therefore, you have to terminate at a finite power of z, and how will you do that? Well, you want to have, for example, A4 non-zero, but A6 you would like it to be equal to 0, and that can be satisfied only if, okay, only if this beta is equal to, only if this beta, you see this term has to vanish for a particular value of nu, maybe nu is equal to 4 or maybe nu is equal to 3 or 2 or 1 or maybe 5 or 6 or 7, whatever, for some value of nu this has to vanish. And therefore, what is the conclusion? The conclusion is that the value of beta is restricted. We had introduced it as a constant, but you find that for arbitrary values of this constant you are not going to get an acceptable solution. Acceptable solutions can be obtained only if beta is equal to how much? Beta is equal to nu plus m into nu plus m plus 1, only if this is the way it is, but what is the value of nu that you can have? Nu you can have 0 or you can have 1 or 2 or 3 or any number you like. So, you have the freedom, you can choose nu to be equal to 0. So, you say okay, nu may be 0 or nu may be 1 or 2 or 3, it has to be an integer including the value 0. Okay, I mean if that is the way it is, I can introduce a new integer which I will denote by the symbol L. I am going to define L is equal to nu plus magnitude of m, right. So, then I will be able to write this as beta is equal to L into L plus 1, where what is L? L actually is defined to be nu plus magnitude of m. That is just my definition of L. But with that definition you will realize that this number L that I am defining, what are the values that it can take? The values that it can take are actually, see this nu may be 0 or it may be 1 or it may be 2, etc. So, therefore, I realize that L itself has to be an integer, but L has to be greater than or equal to the magnitude of m. If I introduce a quantum number, a number L by this definition, then I am restricted in that the value of L, you look at this expression, in this expression, right, the minimum possible value for nu is 0. So, therefore, L has to be greater than or equal to the magnitude of m, and you would probably realize that this L is nothing but the azimuthal quantum number that you might be familiar, right, and m actually is the magnetic quantum number, and if you remember what you have studied in previous classes, L and m have to satisfy this condition. Okay. And the next thing is, you see, I mean this is already there in my slides. So, this is the recursion relationship which I had written, and then I say okay, beta is equal to L into L plus 1. But then if beta is equal to L into L plus 1, what will happen to my original differential equation? Where is my original differential equation? The original differential equation is this one. Okay. This is the original differential equation, When we had this differential equation, the value of beta we did not know what it was, but now we find that beta has to be equal to L into L plus 1, then only we will get acceptable solutions, otherwise we do not get acceptable solutions. And when beta is equal to L into L plus 1, this function, right, you can put now replace this beta with L into L plus 1, where L is an integer greater than or equal to magnitude of m. Then what happens is that this function is very well known, it was actually very well known to the mathematicians. This differential equation itself was very well known, and they also knew the solutions, and those solutions were known as associated Legendre functions. So, it is not really necessary, I mean if I wanted to find the functions, actually all that I need to do is I can use this recursion relationship, right, and find the functions if I want, but that is not what we will do, because you see this is now a differential equation which is very familiar to the mathematicians. We will just take their knowledge, right, and we will just write down. I will give you the details of these functions later, and using those details we will just write down the functions, rather than actually it, as I said, it is easy, it is very easy, it is not difficult for me to find what those functions are. All that I need to do is I have to use this recursion relation, and then I will get everything, but we will not do that, because the functions, the properties are all very well known. Okay, now with this let us look at the equation for capital R. We will come back to this when we look at the full solution. So, till now we have got two quantum numbers, the first was m can take the value 0 plus or minus 1 plus or minus 2 etc. We found another quantum number, this first one was obtained when we tried to solve the equation for capital phi, and then we tried, when we solved the equation for capital theta, we found the next quantum number L, which may take on the value 0, 1, 2, 3 etc., but it has to satisfy the condition that it has to be greater than or equal to m. These are the things that we have found. And now we look at the equation for capital R. Which we had written down earlier. So, I will just look at my slides. Okay, this is the equation for capital R. How does it read? It has actually minus h cross square by 2 mu, okay, 1 by capital R of R This was the equation which we obtained by using the method of separation of variables, but in this equation we would now replace beta, because we have found that beta is restricted, it can have only the values of the form L into L plus 1. So, we will put L into L plus 1 here, and I suspect in the earlier versions of the equation I had actually multiplied by capital R. So, I will do that, and then what will happen is that I shall get minus h cross square by 2 mu 1 by r square d by dr r square d capital R by dr first term. Next term will be plus, if you looked at this, well, you see, we please keep a close watch, because if I make a mistake, then I will run into difficulties. Now, you look at this equation, see what are the terms that are occurring in this equation. Here is the total energy of the electron, remember E is the total energy. What is this term? This term is the potential energy because of its interaction with the nucleus, minus E square by 4 pi epsilon 0 r. This term is what? This is coming from kinetic energy for radial motion. And remember, this equation actually is a Schrodinger equation which describes the radial motion, how the distance of the electron varies from the nucleus, right. That is what this equation describes, and this is definitely coming from kinetic energy. But now we have an additional term here. What is this term? Right. You look at the term. See, what is happening is that the electron is moving around the nucleus, and therefore, you see it has not just radial motion, it also has angular motion. We have got rid of angular motion, but what has happened? There is an additional term appearing here, right, and this is actually coming from the angular motion, this term, this extra term that is coming. And you look at that, that is actually appearing as if it is a potential energy, because you see it is similar to this term, right. The occurrence, the way it occurs is similar. So, it is actually occurring as a potential energy. Now, why does it do this? And in fact, why is it that there is a 1 by r square sitting here? This actually, if you looked at the problem from classical mechanics also, exactly the same kind of things will happen. See, what is happening is that when the electron is moving around the nucleus, you should remember that the potential depends only upon the distance. So, it does not matter where in which direction the electron is, whether it is in this direction or in that direction. If the distance from the nucleus is the same, then the potential energy is the same. And with such a problem, what happens is that the angular momentum, we will come to angular momentum later, but the angular momentum actually is a constant of motion. That means that the electron would move only in such a fashion that the angular momentum does not change. Okay. So, if the angular momentum does not change, you see what, suppose the electron is moving in this direction, and suppose somehow it comes close to the nucleus, the value of the angular momentum has to be the same. So, how can it do that? I mean, from a large distance, if it comes closer, if the angular momentum is still to have the same value, then the electron should move much faster, right. So, if the angular momentum, I hope you remember the definition, it is a product of the mass into the distance into the velocity, right. So, if the distance decreases, the velocity has to increase, right. So, if the electron is close to the nucleus, it will be moving very fast. Therefore, what will happen is that the energy of angular motion will change as you approach the nucleus, right. And because the electron will move much faster near the nucleus, what would you expect? The energy will actually, the energy due to the angular motion will increase very fast, and that exactly is what is happening with this term, right. So, this term is coming from the angular motion, and because of the fact that the angular momentum is conserved, the electron is constrained to move faster as it approaches the nucleus, and therefore, its kinetic energy for due to angular motion will increase. So, this is actually that term. Okay. And now, let me try to solve this equation. If you look at this equation, you would realize that there are many constants. I want to get rid of all of them, I mean as far as possible. So, we will make a substitution. What is the substitution that we will make? We will say that we have a new variable which I will denote by the symbol rho, and say that that is equal to 2 alpha times r. Alpha is yet to be defined. So, therefore, you can say r is equal to rho divided by 2 alpha. So, wherever r is occurring, I am going to put rho by 2 alpha, and this capital R actually is a function of small r, and that will be equal to a function of rho, which I will denote as S. So, S is defined to be equal to r, but S is the function which is the function of rho. So, if you think of dr by d small r, that will be equal to ds divided by what? R is rho by 2 alpha. So, therefore, naturally you will get d rho into a 2 alpha. Okay. So, d capital R by dr may be written as ds by d rho 2 alpha, and so you can do exactly the same thing, I mean with all the terms here, and what would be the result? I hope I can just write the new set of terms 2 mu. What will happen to r square? I am going to get 2 alpha the whole square divided by rho square, right, this one, while d by dr will give me what? Another 2 alpha in the numerator. This r square will give me maybe I will work it out, that may be better. So, this is what it is, then d capital R by dr multiplied by r square is equal to ds by d rho into 2 alpha, r square will be rho square by 2 alpha the whole square. So, that this will be actually equal to 1 by 2 alpha rho square ds by d rho. So, you can find a relationship between r square dr by d small r and rho square ds by d rho, and that is the relationship. But here let me remove this is probably easier to do it this way, and so I have to now calculate d by dr into 1 by r square, and what would that be? This is the term that occurs, and you can easily work this out. Let me just write the answer, I think that is the best thing. That is the answer. I think you can easily verify this. If you just did the substitution, r is equal to rho by 2 alpha, all that will happen is that you will get just a 4 alpha square there, and therefore, this object will become 4 alpha square okay. And you have this minus h cross square by 2 mu, then you have plus h cross square by 2 mu L into L plus 1 divided by r, well this r square I would like to replace with rho. So, I will get rho square into 2 alpha or 4 alpha square into capital R is nothing but S this R also I should replace with rho by 2 alpha. So, this is what you are going to get. I am yet to define my alpha, but as we have done previously, what we will do is we will define alpha in such a fashion that the equation looks as simple as possible. So, the next thing that I will do is I will divide throughout by this term. Divide throughout by that term, then what is the result? You will get 1 by rho square d by d rho square, that will be my first term. This term will become minus L into L plus 1 divided by rho square into S. Correct me if I make a mistake. This will become minus L into L plus 1 by rho square into S. The next term will become plus and on the right hand side you are going to get minus 2 mu divided by h cross square into E. Is that all? 4 alpha square, right? Into S of rho. Well, it is crucial. I mean, I hope I have put in all the factors, otherwise I will again run into difficulties. Any term that I have missed out? I mean, there are minor simplifications that I can make. There is a 2 alpha here, there is a 4 alpha square. So, let me remove this 2 alpha and write this as 2 alpha. And what I am going to do is, there are so many things here. So, what I will do is, this number. Okay. See, I have introduced a variable, introduced a parameter alpha, and I want to define it. I can define it in any fashion that I like, but what I want to do is I want to define it in such a fashion that the equation looks very simple, right. So, therefore, I am going to define this to be equal to 1. I mean, I can always define alpha in such a fashion that this is equal to 1. So, what will be the definition of alpha? It says that minus 2 mu e divided by alpha square h cross square is equal to 1. Or it says that alpha square must be equal to something. What is that something? Alpha square must be equal to minus 2 mu e divided by h cross square, and this rho of course is actually defined to be equal to alpha r. Now, you may say this is a rather strange definition, because the way it is defined, you see there is a negative sign occurring there, right. So, alpha square you would have expected to be something real, right. So, it may appear that alpha if you define it this way, alpha may turn out to be imaginary, but what is going to happen is this: you have the nucleus, you have the electron, right, and if the electron is far away from the nucleus, there is no interaction, right, and the energy of the system will be, let us say, we will take it to be 0. And if I bring the electron close to the nucleus, what would I expect? I would expect that if there is a bound state for the system, the energy of the system will be less than 0, less than the energy that the system would have at infinity. So, if you say that the electron is in the vicinity of the nucleus, I would expect that the total energy, if it is bound to the nucleus, I would expect that the total energy of the system will be less than 0, and therefore, I expect that this E is negative. So, if E is negative, everything is fine, alpha is real, but this also implies that I am only looking at the bound states of the system, states for which the energy, total energy is less than 0. If you are looking at states which have E greater than 0, then you may perhaps have to modify this treatment. Okay. So, we are putting the condition that let us look at only solutions whose energy is negative, and then alpha is guaranteed to be real, and I would not have any problem. So, with this what will happen to the equation? If this is equal to 1, I hope I have not made any mistakes, and this will be equal to 1. So, I will have a 1 by 4 here, and if I looked at the right hand side, what is going to happen? I have all these constants, but the constants are occurring only in one part, they are not occurring anywhere else except of course L into L plus 1, but L is a quantum number which can take different values. So, what I will do is I will define this 2 mu e square divided by what? 4 pi epsilon 0 into h cross square into 2 alpha. Let me just denote it by the symbol lambda, because I do not want to be writing this again and again and again. Fine. And if you did that, what will happen? This part I can just remove and put lambda there. So, now our location, you will agree that it looks much nicer than earlier. and this is the differential equation that I have to solve. Let me rewrite this equation in a slightly modified fashion. I will carry out this differentiation, and if I carried out the differentiation, what is going to happen is I shall have d square s by d rho square. Simple thing to carry out the differentiation. So, let me just write it. These are the two terms that will come from here. I will take this term to the left hand side. So, what I will get is plus lambda by rho minus L into L plus 1 by rho square minus 1 by 4 into S is equal to 0. So, this is the differential equation that we have to solve. Let me check whether this is okay. I think I have it in my slides. So, you will see that it perfectly agrees. Well, this is the equation written in a slightly different form, but it does not matter, it is just the same equation. So, this is the equation that we now have to solve, right. And now again, I mean, how do I solve this equation? The answer is simple. I first try to find an asymptotic solution. What do I mean by an asymptotic solution? This is a solution that will be valid in maybe large values of rho. If rho is large, you can ask what will happen to this differential equation. If rho is extremely large, you would expect that this term can be neglected, this term also can be neglected, and perhaps this term also can be neglected, and therefore, you would expect that the differential equation may perhaps reduce to d square s by d rho square minus 1 by 4 s is equal to 0, right. This will be the form of the differential equation which is valid. This is what I would expect. And so, this is a simple differential equation, d square s by d rho square is equal to 1 by 4 s. What is the solution of that equation? The solution will be any constant into perhaps e to the power of minus rho by 2, as you can easily see, because if you took the second derivative of that function, you will see that it satisfies this equation. Not only that, also any constant b into e to the power of plus rho by 2 will satisfy the equation. And then immediately what will you say? The second solution, which is e to the power of plus rho by 2, cannot be acceptable, because when the value of r becomes very large, r is my distance of the electron from the nucleus, r becomes very large, naturally rho will become very large, and if rho becomes very large, my solution, the second solution, will become very large. It will go to infinity, and so it will not give me an acceptable solution. So, therefore, the only possibility is to have this as the solution. So, I have found the asymptotic solution. The asymptotic solution should have this particular form, but this is only an asymptotic solution. It is not valid for small values of rho, and how will I make it satisfy the equation for small values of rho? And that is something that we will do. We will say that instead of this a, I will have to have a constant, I will have to have a function f of rho, okay, and I will discuss what to do with this function in the next lecture. Thank you for listening.